Somewhere beneath the stream of the thoughts you know, beneath the lists and worries and memories that move across the surface of your mind, there is another world, quiet and immense. It does not argue, it does not hurry. It is the silent engine of your life. This inner world has been working for you since before you could speak, recording every impression, every tone of voice, every emotion and conclusion you ever reached about yourself and the world. It is here, in this invisible depth, that your days are formed, your relationships colored, your opportunities allowed or refused, and your future quietly prepared. Most people walk through life never entering this sacred chamber of their own mind. They believe they are victims of moods, of circumstances, of luck and chance. They do not know that just beneath their familiar thoughts there is a power greater than any outer situation, a power that shapes events like a hidden current shapes the surface of the sea. This power is your subconscious mind, and it obeys a law as exact as gravity. It is not sometimes working and sometimes not. It is always listening, always responding, always taking the emotional content of your inner world as instructions for what to grow, what to withhold, and what to repeat. You may feel, even now as you listen, that you are entering a quieter space within yourself, as if the noise of outer life is slowly closing behind a door. Let the breath soften, let the shoulders drop, let the muscles of your face release. You are not merely hearing words. Your deeper mind is registering impressions, images, meanings. It learns not through argument, but through repetition, feeling, and faith. The story of your life so far has been the story of what you have accepted as true in this hidden place. Modern science has given us a glimpse into this inner realm. When you repeat a thought, when you dwell on a feeling, the neural pathways in your brain strengthen, like trails in a forest becoming clear roads through repeated use. The emotional centers of your brain fire in patterns, and these patterns become habits. Your body stores the echoes of old experiences in muscles and fascia, in breath and posture. The subconscious speaks in these patterns of tension and ease. It organizes your hormones, your immune responses, your habits of attention. And while some may call this merely neuroplasticity or emotional conditioning, behind the terminology lies a more ancient truth. The inner pattern becomes the outer experience. The unseen blueprint becomes the visible building. Your subconscious does not argue with the conscious mind. It is like a fertile garden that accepts any seed placed within it, whether that seed is of fear or faith, resentment or love, lack or abundance. The soil does not discriminate. It simply does what it was designed to do. It grows, silent, tireless, unsentimental. It makes whatever you water with emotion and repetition into a living, breathing condition in your outer world. If you call yourself unlucky, your subconscious takes it as an order. If you call yourself guided, blessed, and supported, it takes that as an order too. The law is the same. This is why your affirmation wisely leaves room for divine order in perfect, harmonious ways. You are not giving up power by saying this. You are aligning with a wisdom that sees beyond your current horizon. In this journey, forgiveness plays an often overlooked role. Old resentments, grudges, and grievances tie up enormous quantities of subconscious energy. They keep you bound to the very conditions you wish to transcend. To forgive is not to condone harmful behavior. It is to release yourself from the emotional charge that keeps the past alive in your nervous system. When you say quietly, "I release this person and situation to the infinite mind. I let go and let life handle what I cannot," you free your subconscious to build something new instead of constantly reconstructing the old wound. You may even direct your master affirmation toward this realm. There is one infinite mind in which I and all others live and move. In that mind only harmony and understanding are real. I accept that harmony now in my subconscious, and I allow it to appear in my relationships in right, peaceful ways. As this idea takes root, you may find conversations softening, solutions emerging, or in some cases, a graceful parting that makes room for healthier connections. Ultimately, this whole process is a return to your own sovereignty. For too long, you may have believed that your moods were accidents, your circumstances random, your worth determined by others. You may have felt like a leaf blown by the winds of the world. But as you come to understand the mechanics of your subconscious mind, its responsiveness to feeling, its obedience to belief, its constant listening, you realize that you are more like the gardener than the leaf. You may not control the sun or the rain, but you can choose what you plant, how you tend it, and what you uproot. The affirmation you have learned is not a spell to manipulate life according to every passing whim. It is a statement of alignment with the deepest reality of your being. When you say, "There is one infinite mind, and it lives in me as my deeper self," you are acknowledging that you are never truly alone, never cut off, never powerless. You may forget, you may fall into old habits of fear, but the truth remains. The same intelligence that moves galaxies moves gently through your subconscious mind, ready at every moment to respond to your smallest act of faith. As this understanding sinks in, something in you relaxes. You no longer feel the frantic need to control every detail. You begin to act, not from desperation, but from inspiration. You take steps in the outer world, making calls, learning skills, having honest conversations. But you know that these are the branches and leaves. The root is inside. You spend more time there, in the silence, turning your inner face toward the infinite mind, feeling the reality of your desired good as if it were here, because in that inner realm it already is. And so, as this journey of words draws to a gentle close, your own deeper journey continues. You have entered, perhaps more fully than before, the sacred space of mind-power secrets, not as a curious visitor peeking in through the window, but as an heir reclaiming a birthright. You know now, in a way you may not have known before, that every experience in your life begins as a movement in consciousness. Thought, feeling, belief, these form the invisible blueprint. The subconscious mind, like a tireless builder, follows that plan. Universal law, impartial and exact, turns inner causes into outer effects. From this moment forward, you are free to choose differently. Not once in a burst of enthusiasm, but daily, quietly, consistently. You may forget and remember again, fall and rise again. Each time you return to the affirmation of your oneness with infinite mind. Each time you practice the sleeping method. Each time you substitute a fearful thought with a faithful one. Each time you hold your desires in sacred silence and plant them with feeling in your subconscious, you are turning the great wheel of your destiny. Let the final words of this reflection settle into that silent depth within you where their true work is done. Within me now is the infinite mind that created worlds. It moves through my subconscious as wisdom, love, and power. I choose thoughts that honor this truth. I feel the reality of my good as present, here and now. My subconscious accepts these ideas and brings them to pass in perfect order. I walk forward in peace, guided from within. There is nothing to strain for, nothing to chase. You have only to return again and again to this inner knowing. Transformation does not begin in the outer arrangements of your life. It begins in a single quiet shift of consciousness, in a thought accepted, in a feeling surrendered to a higher pattern. From there, everything else, your actions, your choices, your circumstances, rearranges in time, the silent factory of your subconscious is already turning with new instructions. The garden of your inner world has received new seed. The power that makes these seeds grow is not in your effort. It is in the nature of life itself. Trust it, cooperate with it, and let the unfolding of your days bear witness to the simple, profound truth. The creative power has always been within you, waiting only for your recognition, your acceptance, and your calm, unwavering affirmation. Only the content of what you plant is different. Consider for a moment a person whose outer life has been filled with struggle. They work hard, but money slips away. Relationships begin with hope, then sour into disappointment. Their body carries the tension of years, tight chest, clenched jaw, shallow breathing. They tell themselves they are realistic. They joke about being cursed with bad luck. Deeply, they believe that no matter what they do, life will somehow deny them what they most desire. To such a one, circumstances seem to speak first. But if you look beneath the surface, you will see the inner pattern came before the outward event. Long ago, perhaps as a child, they formed certain conclusions. I am not safe, I am not enough, I don't belong, good things don't last. These conclusions became emotional imprints. The subconscious mind, faithful to its nature, began to arrange conditions, to filter opportunities, to guide decisions in harmony with this painful blueprint. This is not punishment, it is law. The subconscious is not a judge, it is a servant. It is a vast mental factory that cannot stop producing. It does not ask, "Is this good for you?" It only receives the plans and proceeds to build. When the plans are fear-filled, the structures of your days will be narrow and dark. When the plans are filled with beauty, faith, and expectation of good, your days become more spacious, more harmonious, more alive with what some call miracles and others call divine order. In this invisible workshop of your mind, you hold the power to issue new blueprints. You do this through thought, imagination, and above all, feeling. In spiritual language, this is called prayer. Not the begging of a distant power, not the anxious repetition of words hoping to convince a reluctant universe, but scientific prayer, the deliberate choosing of inner images, words, and emotions that align with the good you desire, as if the outcome were already complete. This is not wishful thinking. This is working in harmony with universal law. Your subconscious is influenced most strongly by what you accept with feeling. It listens not to the loudest thought, but to the deepest. You may say with your lips, "All is well," yet if you rehearse scenes of loss and failure in your inner cinema, the subconscious will follow the pictures, not the shallow phrase. This is why so many affirmations fail. They are recited with doubt, fear, or strain, and the dominant emotion contradicts the words. The language of the subconscious is not the language of effort. It is the language of conviction. Imagine now that within this hidden mind exists a simple living sentence, an affirmation that, when impressed with quiet certainty, can begin to attract into your life whatever form of good you most deeply desire. Peace, provision, healing, guidance, companionship, creative expression, or the gentle resolution of a burden you have carried far too long. The power is not in the syllables themselves, it is in what they awaken within you. This affirmation is like a master key, but as with any key, it must be turned, it must be felt, it must be accepted as a present reality, not a distant hope. Before we approach this affirmation, we must first clear the inner space that receives it. For many, the subconscious is already full of old words, old images, old conclusions. The nervous system may be tuned to stress, to waiting for the next disappointment, to scanning for threats. The heart may carry the weight of unprocessed sorrow or anger. To pour new wine into old skins is to invite conflict, so we will proceed gently. Allow yourself, even as you listen, to sense the subtle sensations in your body. Notice the contact of your feet with the floor, the weight of your body where it rests. The subconscious speaks through the body as well as through thought. It remembers what the conscious mind has forgotten. Modern somatic science tells us that when we bring gentle awareness to these stored tensions, without judgment, without pushing them away, the body begins to release. The vagus nerve, the great river of calm that runs through your system, begins to awaken. Your heart's electromagnetic field softens, and the coherent rhythms of peace start to replace the jagged frequencies of fear. In spiritual terms, this is emotional alchemy, the transmutation of dense, constrictive states into expanded, harmonious ones. You do not need to analyze every memory that gave rise to your tension. You do not need to relive every scene. It is enough in this moment to recognize that you are not your fear. You are not your sadness. You are not your old conclusions. These are states that have passed through you, like weather, and the one who has noticed them is deeper than the storm. As you develop this witnessing awareness, you gain the first taste of sovereignty. You begin to realize that you can choose which thoughts to entertain, which emotional patterns to nourish, and which to gently release. Here we meet one of the most beautiful laws of the mind. The law of substitution, T. The subconscious cannot hold two contradictory ideas at the same level of intensity at the same time. When you deliberately introduce a new constructive thought and bathe it with feeling, you begin to displace the old destructive one. You do not fight the negative thought, you do not wrestle with it, you simply bring in its higher replacement, as light replaces darkness, as warmth replaces cold. When a room is dark, you do not shout at the darkness, you turn on a light. In the same way, when a thought of fear arises, I will never have what I need, you gently introduce its substitute. Infinite intelligence within me now provides, guides, and supports me in perfect ways. You repeat it, not with strain, but with a kind of inward nod, a willingness to let it be true. At first, the old pattern may seem stronger. The brain's neural pathways have been well worn by years of repetition. Yet every time you choose the higher thought, you are laying down a new path, forming a new circuit. Tiny electrical impulses, chemical messengers, and electromagnetic fields shift in response to your chosen inner images. The outer language may be spiritual, prayer, faith, affirmation, but the inner mechanics are both metaphysical and biological. Spirit works through law, and law works through mind and body. You may wonder, if this is so powerful, why do my old patterns return when I am tired or at night or under pressure? The answer again lies in the nature of the subconscious. When you sleep, when the critical analytic mind relaxes, the door to this deeper level opens wider. Whatever feelings dominate at bedtime sink down like seeds into the fertile soil of your unconscious. This is why the last 5 or 10 minutes before sleep are the golden gateway of transformation. What you dwell on then, you hand like written instructions to the inner power that works while you rest. This brings us to the sleeping method, one of the most potent ways to reprogram the subconscious. As you prepare for sleep, you do not review your failures of the day. You do not rehearse your fears of tomorrow. Instead, you choose a single, simple scene that would represent the fulfillment of your desire. Not a complicated drama, but one clear moment. Perhaps it is a handshake of congratulations. Perhaps it is the peaceful feeling of bills paid and obligations met. Perhaps it is a loving embrace, or a doctor's calm smile, or the sense of waking up free from a long-held burden. You imagine that you are already living in that moment. You feel the emotion of it as if it were now. Then, into that feeling, you gently introduce the affirmation. Divine intelligence within me now fulfills this desire in perfect order, at the right time, in the right way. I accept it as done in my subconscious mind. You do not shout it. You do not force belief. You repeat it slowly, inwardly, letting each word sink like a stone into a still pool. If stray thoughts arise, you do not fight them. You simply return again and again to your chosen scene, to your calm repetition. As you drift into sleep, your subconscious receives this as a completed fact, a new pattern to organize around. While you lie still, the silent factory of your inner mind rearranges ideas, perceptions, and even bodily functions to bring your outer life into alignment with this accepted truth. There is a quiet strength in secrecy and silence. When you plant a physical seed in the ground, you do not dig it up every few hours to see if it is growing. You water it, protect it, and trust the unseen process. So it is with the seeds you plant in your subconscious. Many desires lose power because they are scattered in conversation, argued about, exposed to the doubts and fears of others. When you receive an inner conviction, when you impress a new pattern on your subconscious, let it live in the sacred privacy of your heart. You do not need to announce every wish. You do not need to defend your dream. The subconscious is most responsive to those thoughts held in deep, quiet feeling, not those broadcast anxiously to win approval. Consider now a simple modern story that may mirror your own in some way. There is a woman named Maya. For years, she felt trapped in a cycle of scarcity. No matter how many hours she worked, there was always another emergency, another expense. She had grown up hearing, money doesn't grow on trees, life is hard, people like us never get ahead. These phrases, repeated by tired parents and anxious relatives, became unquestioned truths in her subconscious. Her nervous system learned to live in a constant state of mild alarm. Even in moments of rest, a part of her was braced for the next problem. One evening, exhausted and scrolling through her phone, she stumbled upon a teaching about the subconscious mind. Something in her stirred, a quiet curiosity, a sense that she was hearing an old truth for the first time. She began to experiment, not with frantic effort, but with gentle consistency. Each night before sleep, instead of replaying her worries, she began to repeat a new idea. There is one infinite source that provides for me in countless ways. That source moves through my subconscious mind now, opening channels of supply I have never imagined. I am calmly, peacefully provided for. At first, these words felt foreign, like clothes that did not yet fit. Old doubts whispered, "This is silly. Look at your bank account." But she continued. She felt into the statement, imagined moments of ease, breathing without that familiar tightness in her chest, opening bills with a quiet smile, saying yes when her child asked for something simple. She did not share this practice with anyone. It was her secret seed, planted night after night. Gradually, almost imperceptibly, her perceptions began to change. She noticed opportunities she had skimmed over before. A training program at work, a conversation with someone who appreciated her skills, a chance to collaborate on a project. Her decisions shifted, not from desperate grasping, but from a new inner assumption. I am supported. Over months, her outer income increased, but more importantly, the constant atmosphere of anxiety began to dissolve. What had changed first? Not the world, her inner blueprint. The subconscious, reprogrammed by her quiet nightly prayer, had altered her filters, her courage, her sense of worth, and the world responded. This is not magic in the childish sense, it is law. You are surrounded by a field of infinite potential, what some call the quantum field, where every possibility exists as a pattern of energy. Your own electromagnetic signature, shaped by your persistent thoughts, feelings, and beliefs, determines which potentials you harmonize with, which experiences crystallize out of the invisible into the visible. The subconscious mind is the bridge, the transforming power that takes subtle mental and emotional states and gives them form as events, encounters, and bodily conditions. Now we come closer to the affirmation that can attract anything aligned with your highest good. Perhaps, as you hear these words, a question arises quietly in you. Could there be a single statement, a single inner stance, that opens the way for every right desire? The answer is yes, not in the sense of a magic phrase, but in the sense of a fundamental recognition of who and what lives within you. Beneath your personal history, beneath your name and your roles, there is an infinite intelligence that knows how to grow a tree, how to heal a cut, how to guide migrating birds across a continent. That same intelligence breathes your lungs and beats your heart. You did not have to learn how to digest your food or repair your cells. Something in you knows. That same something can heal relationships, rearrange circumstances, and orchestrate events when you cooperate with it in thought and feeling. When you affirm from this place, you are not trying to convince a distant power. You are agreeing with the truth of what you already are in essence, a localized expression of universal mind. Let the following words move not just through your ears, but into that deeper agreement. You may choose to repeat them inwardly, softly, as you listen. There is one infinite mind, and it lives in me as my own deeper self. This mind loves me, guides me, and expresses through me. Whatever good I now desire is already present in this infinite mind, and I accept it as mine in consciousness. I unite my feeling with this idea, and my subconscious now brings it into form in perfect, harmonious ways. I rest in the certainty that it is done. This is the affirmation that can attract anything aligned with truth, anything that does not harm but blesses, anything that contributes to your growth and the good of others. It does not specify the exact form, the precise route. It aligns you first with Source itself, with the mental factory from which every form arises. From this inner place you may add your specific desire, spoken calmly, as if it were already your reality. Through the infinite mind within me, I now experience, and you complete the sentence with your chosen good. Peace in your home, clarity in your path, harmonious work, creative inspiration, a healthy body, a loving partner. You state it in the present tense, I now experience, because to the subconscious, time is always now. If you say, I will have, you keep the desire on the horizon. If you say, I now accept, you bring it into the present field of your feeling, where alone it can be impressed. Notice how your body responds even as you contemplate this. Perhaps there is a slight unwinding in your chest, a sense of possibility. Perhaps there is resistance, a tightening that says, this is too much to believe. Both reactions are natural. The subconscious is like a great mental reservoir filled with old conclusions. As you pour in a new idea, the surface may churn. Old sediments rise. Do not be disturbed by this. Emotional alchemy begins when you allow these reactions to be seen in the light of a new truth without letting them dictate the final verdict. When a thought arises, this is impossible for me, you gently apply the law of substitution. You do not argue. You do not recite a list of evidence against your own good. Instead, you turn inward and repeat with as much tenderness as you can, what is impossible to my old belief is easy to the infinite mind within me. I now trust that mind more than my fear. You may place a hand on your heart, letting the warmth of your own touch signal safety to your nervous system. In that small gesture, modern somatic science and ancient spiritual wisdom meet, the body feels held, and the subconscious becomes more receptive to new patterns. Throughout the day, your subconscious continues to listen. It listens not only to your formal prayers, but to the casual remarks you make about yourself and others. It hears the jokes you tell at your own expense, the stories you repeat about your limitations, the quiet condemnations you whisper in the privacy of your thoughts. It also hears the moments of gratitude, the visions of possibility, the small choices to speak kindly to yourself. Every statement about yourself is, in a sense, an affirmation. The question is not whether you are affirming, but what you are affirming. Suppose, for example, that you wake and say, I am always so tired, nothing ever changes, people never appreciate me. The subconscious, literal and obedient, takes this as the template for the day. It dampens your energy, filters your perceptions, so that you notice every slight and forget every kindness. But if upon waking you say instead, there is a quiet power guiding this day, I am supplied with the strength, wisdom, and patience I need. Today, life supports me. You are issuing a different order to the same inner engine. Neurologically, you activate circuits of anticipation and openness. Spiritually, you align with a current of good that has been flowing all along. Secrecy plays a role here as well. You need not announce every new inner stance to others. Many will not understand, not because they are unkind, but because they are still identified with the old way of thinking. They may project their own fears onto your vision. Protect your inner work as you would protect a small flautin de soie. Aim from a gust of wind. Speak of your good to those who can hold it with you, or keep it between you and the infinite mind that already knows. Let us now journey together through a brief guided visualization, a scene you may return to whenever you wish to impress this affirmation more deeply on your subconscious. You may close your eyes, if that is comfortable, or simply allow your gaze to soften. See yourself standing before a great doorway. The door is simple, yet radiates a gentle light, as if something luminous were shining from within. This is the entrance to your inner sanctuary, the control room of your subconscious mind. As you place your hand on the door, feel a quiet resolve. You are no longer a stranger to your own depths. You are a conscious visitor, a co-creator. The door opens silently. Inside, you see a vast, calm space filled with soft light. There are no harsh edges, no clutter, only a sense of intelligent order. In the center of this space stands a kind of console or panel filled with levers and dials, lights and screens. Each represents a pattern in your life: relationships, health, work, finances, creativity, self-worth. Some dials are turned down, some levers are stuck in positions that no longer serve you. This is the arrangement that has been running, often without your awareness. Now, appearing beside the console, you sense a presence, not a figure separate from you, but a radiant field of knowing, the infinite mind within, the deeper self. There is no judgment here, only clarity and love. Together you survey the panel. You notice one lever labeled Receiving Good. It has been set low for a long time, perhaps from old beliefs. With the guidance of this inner intelligence, you place your hand on the lever and gently lift it. As you do, you speak inwardly. There is one infinite mind, and it lives in me as my deeper self. This mind knows how to bring every right good into my life. I now allow it. I accept it. I set my receptivity to abundance, to peace, to love, to perfect guidance. You feel a subtle vibration through your hand, as if energy were flowing along new circuits. Lights on the panel adjust. Patterns once rigid begin to soften. The inner presence radiates quiet approval, not because you have earned it, but because you are finally choosing to cooperate with what has always been yours. You step back from the console and look around this sanctuary. On one wall, you see what appears to be a screen. Images flicker there. The familiar scenes of worry, struggle, conflict. These are the old films your subconscious has been replaying. As you watch, something in you says gently, "No more." You raise your hand, and with your intention you allow the images to dissolve like mist in sunlight. The screen goes blank, and in the clear space you project a new picture, yourself living in the fulfilled state of your desire, not as a wish, but as a quiet fact. See it now, the ease on your face, the grace of your movements, the harmony in your interactions, the sense of enoughness in your chest. Let the details be simple but vivid. Feel more than see the atmosphere of this new life. Into this feeling, you once again introduce the master affirmation. There is one infinite mind, and it lives in me as my deeper self. Whatever good I now see here is already real in that mind. I accept it in my subconscious as done. I walk in it now in thought and feeling, and it appears in my life in perfect, harmonious ways. Allow the words to echo in the sanctuary as if the very walls were absorbing them. This is scientific prayer, not begging, but accepting, not forcing, but allowing, not insisting on a specific path, but trusting the wisdom that sees the whole. Slowly the vision fades, and you find yourself once more at the doorway. As you step out, you know that this place remains available to you at all times. It is not imagination in the shallow sense. It is the workshop of creation, the interface between your conscious choosing and the infinite possibilities of the universe. Every visit, every repetition deepens the grooves of new neural pathways, strengthens new emotional circuits, and impresses new patterns on the subconscious, which tirelessly builds according to the plans it is given. There will be days when you feel strong and clear, and days when you feel fragile and full of doubt. Both are part of the journey. On the difficult days, remember that the subconscious mind does not require perfection. It responds to persistence. A single seed of faith, planted again and again, can outgrow a forest of fear. When you catch yourself slipping into old stories, "This always happens to me. I'll never change," you do not condemn yourself. You simply recognize, this is the old pattern speaking. Then, with kindness, you substitute the new. I am no longer bound to my past patterns. Infinite intelligence within me is rewriting my story now. I choose thoughts of peace. I choose images of good. I choose to trust the process unfolding through my subconscious mind. In that moment, you shift from being an unconscious victim of your inner programming to a conscious participant in your evolution. As night comes, you return to the sleeping method. You lie down, and instead of scrolling through fragments of other lives, you turn inward. You recall your master affirmation. You bring to mind once more that single scene of fulfillment. You let the body soften as if it already lived in that reality. The brain waves slow, moving from the fast, chattering beta state into the slower, more receptive alpha and theta states. These are the natural doorways to the subconscious. You are now speaking to the inner factory at the hour it is most open. You repeat softly, as if to a beloved child, the key words, "There is one infinite mind, and it lives in me as my deeper self. This mind knows my desire and has already answered it. I accept the answer as done in my subconscious. I sleep in this knowing. I rest in this truth." You feel perhaps a gentle warmth in your heart, or a looseness in your belly, or a quiet easing at the back of your neck. These are not trivial sensations. They are signs that old tension is releasing, that new associations are forming. As you drift into sleep, you have done your work. You do not wake in the night to check on the seed. You trust the law. You trust the intelligence that governs stars and seasons to also govern your small human story, weaving it into a larger pattern of good. Over time, you will notice changes. At first, they may seem small. A different way you speak to yourself when you make a mistake, a surprising sense of calm in a situation that used to trigger you, a spontaneous idea that leads to a beneficial connection. These are the outer ripples of inner shifts. As you persist, larger changes will come. Relationships will reconfigure. Some people will fall away. Others will appear. Opportunities that match your new vibration will seem to find you. You may call this coincidence, but the deeper truth is that like has begun to attract like. The electromagnetic field of your heart and mind has changed its tune, and the universe has responded. Remember, too, that the highest good is not always the form the conscious mind initially insists upon. You may set your sights on a specific job, a particular person, a precise outcome. But as you align more deeply with the infinite mind within, you may be guided towards something better, something more congruent with your true nature.